technical account sales. So I like the technology and I like talking about it, which is kind of unique in an engineering organization. So it's a really exciting place to be. I've been here 3.5 years. Before I was at Google, I was at Cisco, so another tech company, which I say is diametrically opposed to Google. Anyone that's interacted with Cisco knows exactly what I'm talking about. We're much different organizations. I do apologize anytime I do my presentation. So anyone that works at Google, we're called Googlers. That's pretty famous. Anyone that leaves Google is called a Zoogler. And I often bring my dog Ida in, and Ida is known as a Doogler. And for some reason, she always pops her head into my presentation. So you will see Ida the Doogler as I go through this. She always likes to have her face popping in there. She's one of my favorite Googlers when I bring her in. But I'm going to introduce a little bit about Google Cloud because Google as an organization and now Alphabet, which is our holding company, we're quite large and people don't quite understand what are you doing in the enterprise tech space. So Google Cloud is actually a rebranding of a division called Google for Work. And what our role within Google is externalizing all the really cool things we've built for Google. That's been a really big focus and is actually really unique in the tech industry. I came from Cisco and Cisco developed technology to sell to you as a customer. That was their charge, right? Is build me an IP phone so I could go sell that to a customer. All the technology we're going to talk about here tonight was built internally for Google. So whether that's the infrastructure, the productivity tools, it's the tools that we use here. And our job within Google Cloud is to externalize that for customers. So we're going to focus in on the productivity suite today called G Suite, but also in our portfolio, we offer out our devices. So our devices portfolio includes Chrome and Chrome OS, which has been the fastest rising operating system out there. Android, which is the #1 mobile phone provider or mobile OS that's available today. We also externalize our Maps product. So if you ever go to like Hilton.com or other external websites, obviously we're externalizing our Maps product. And finally, Google Cloud Platform is actually externalizing our infrastructure. So Google Cloud Platform is where you can go to build your applications and run them at Google. It is a direct competitor to Azure and AWS, but we bring some very unique things in there, which I'm going to talk about here in the next slide. So the nice part about our brand is it's not just a brand. I like to say Google Cloud is also something you can hold, even though you can't physically hold Google Cloud, but it's actually a piece of infrastructure. And Google's cloud is the cloud that we've built for ourselves. So when we talk to our customers about, hey, I want to start to use your productivity suite, it is that same productivity suite that hopefully you know and love at home, Gmail, Google Drive, Doc Sheets, and Slides. And then that infrastructure that we've had to build to run Google. So as you can imagine, you can travel anywhere in the world, as long as it's not North Korea or Iran, and be able to access Google. In certain parts of Russia and China. But beyond those, you can go anywhere in Google around the world to be able to access our services, which is really, really unique. And it's funny, when I came here, I thought, oh, well, we built this huge infrastructure because of Google search. It's actually not what's really driven our infrastructure. It's actually another brand. And we're going to quickly ask, does anyone know what's really driven a lot of the growth out of Google's infrastructure in the past 5 to 10 years? Can anyone guess which brand it is? It's YouTube. So YouTube is the #1 video platform out there. So as you can imagine, there's something like, I forget what the stat is, but it's like 1 billion minutes of video are uploaded every single day. That's an insane amount of video. And to be able to upload that directly into Google's cloud and have it available worldwide, video transcoding is a really, really tough thing to do. And we have to do it on a crazy, crazy scale. So when you look at Google's cloud and our network, 95% of our own internal utilization is actually YouTube driving a lot of those services. So what you can now do as a customer is, if you're interested, start to build your applications and leverage all these like 800 points of presence that we have. We've managed to put undersea fiber out there, like all these things we had to build as an organization. It made sense for us to do as a company. It doesn't make sense for you as a business. You're not going to invest $2 billion in an undersea cable. It makes sense for us, but now you can start to leverage that technology by becoming a Google Cloud customer. So I want to talk a little bit about G Suite, which is my 3.5 years here. It's actually where I started. So G Suite's actually been around for a while. And again, Google, while we are a great brand, sometimes our branding is a little bit off. So G Suite actually came from the old Google Apps product. So if you're familiar with Google Apps, it's now called G Suite. And its legacy is it's actually born from our Gmail product. So with anyone here a Gmail beta tester when we offer Gmail beta? Remember when it was like the cool thing, like your friends had an invite, they would send you an invite? The story is that we actually did it that way. We launched it originally on April Fools. The reason we did that is because we were really nervous that it was going to blow up in our faces. It actually didn't blow up in our faces. So if it did, we were going to be like, hey, April Fools, we're not actually launching a mail product. But it took off, fortunately for all of us. So very early on, we saw this just tremendous momentum, and we knew the next thing we wanted to do with it is to be able to externalize that to customers. So now how can I take my email and get rid of my Exchange servers, which is exactly what we used to run here at Google, and start to bring those into the cloud? So we did that all the way back in 2006. So we've actually been in the Cloud Productivity Suite for a while. And since then, we've gone to add on more products in there. So things like Google Drive, Doc Sheet, Slides, and some of the other products I'll talk about here shortly. 3 of our apps that fall underneath G Suite are actually over 1 billion downloads at this point. The ones you would probably expect. So that includes Google Drive and Gmail along with Calendar. So we have many, many people, hopefully just about everybody in this room is actively using our applications. And do customers actually spend money to use this? Absolutely. We have over 3 million paying businesses. New York City's been a huge growth market for Google, specifically in G Suite. So recently you may have heard announcements of Verizon, across all of Verizon, they're going Google. Here in New York, it's also PwC, Nielsen. I just recently worked with Condé Nast is going Google. And these are companies that are not only saying, all right, I'm going to get rid of my Exchange servers and now start to use Google. Some of these companies are already running in the cloud and seeing the advantages of that really crazy math that I showed you, that for you as a global business, to be able to leverage cloud, you want to get away from that whole like, oh, it feels like I'm kind of far away from my stuff when I'm using it. We think that cloud can really be innovative in this area, and that's where we're very uniquely differentiated. So G Suite is a brand that has a bunch of products underneath it. I'm not going to go through and introduce all the products, but it is a full-fledged cloud productivity suite. It directly competes with Microsoft Office. We are the #1 cloud productivity provider out there today. The legacy started with Gmail and Calendar. On top of that, we added some of our other services. So that started with Doc Sheets and Slides. We then included Google Drive, which is very similar to services like Dropbox and Box. And what we've more recently done, so our legacy was taking our really cool applications and then providing that to you as a business customer. Then we gave you some like controls that you would need. So I want to control my spam filter. I want to make sure my users don't share with external. That all made sense. What we're focused on now in Google Cloud and specifically G Suite is building tools built by Googlers for you as a business. And that's what I'm going to talk about here today, is actually taking all this really cool engineering and building the products that help you innovate within your business, which is unique. We used to take all of our things that we did in the personal space and brought it over to the enterprise. We're actually now building enterprise applications and externalizing that to our customers. So there's really 4 pillars when it comes to our productivity suite, and the yellow one is probably the most popular one that we talk about. It is a highly collaborative suite. So everything that you do is all about real-time instant communication. It is the bedrock of our businesses, and the customers that leverage G Suite come to us for the collaborative, right? They come to us because they want to move faster. This is the Nielsen story. Nielsen was on Office 365. They came to G Suite because they thought, well, the cloud should help me move faster. They moved there. They didn't move any faster. They were just running in the cloud. They actually partnered with Google to move faster. Same with Verizon, PwC. Intelligent. So this has been an exciting thing. It really generally in the industry is, oh, you always hear machine learning. It's going to solve all my business issues. It's so amazing. And then you get into the nitty gritty and you're like, wow, this is like really in-depth data science stuff. It's really difficult, right? It doesn't build itself. So how do we actually take the really cool innovations that we're doing here and embed those in the products so you can have more intelligent AI-driven applications that are easy for your users to understand. So that's been a big focus what I'm going to talk about and demo a little later on here. And a truly open suite, the nice part is that we're born in the cloud, born on the web, so everything's totally API-driven. So we want to get you away from things like Excel macros written in VB script. Like it's time to maybe graduate to a new next generation kind of web-connected world. So all these things that you're used to, right? How come I can like take my Facebook login and log into MySpace, right? Like these applications just connect to each other. And traditionally, we haven't done a very good job of that in enterprise. We're leading that from G Suite. And our highly secure platform. right? Companies like PwC and Verizon wouldn't choose us unless we're secure, and we're really being innovative in this space, and not just making our products more secure, but making the industry more secure, which is really, really unique for us. Most recently, actually last year, I dealt with one of the presidential campaigns. And as you can imagine, a lot of security activity related to that. And it's been interesting for me as a technologist, where it used to be like, go buy a firewall to protect your network. And now it's like, no, North Korea is going to attack you. No, Russia's going to attack you. And it's a totally different game. A firewall does not prevent what I saw last year that happened with one of the presidential campaigns. So very, very fascinating. I'll talk a little bit about what we're doing there. Yeah, you're like, which of the two is he talking about? Maybe it was Bernie's. It wasn't Bernie's. I don't even know if he had a computer. Not a Bernie, bro. Not a Bernie. I do love him, though. So it's New York City. We're all liberals, right? So artificial intelligence is in everything that we do here at Google, right? It's in our Maps product. It's inside Android. And this is where we're really different in this space. Is you probably generally don't even realize that a lot of this is powered by machine learning today. So we're all used to this from Google. As you go in and you start to search, and it like starts to suggest things, and you're like, how does Google know what I'm thinking about, right? But it's actually adapting based upon previous searches you've done, or things that are inside your email, or locations that you're currently at, right? Like it's taking all these really interesting things about you because you're logged into Google and being able to surface those results, right? When's the last time you went to Google search and went to like page 4 of the results? You never really do that, right? You're pretty much getting your answer in the first 3 links, which is incredible given that our search index is somewhere around 70 trillion websites, right? Like that's an immense amount of data. It's a huge big data issue, and we've actually leveraged artificial intelligence to make that a great end user experience. And what we think about for enterprise customers is we absolutely have the crazy data science stuff. So if you have data scientists and you want to sit down and code in TensorFlow, I have no idea how to do it, but there are people out there that understand that. If you want to sit down for 6 months and build your own AI trained model, you can absolutely do that on top of Google's cloud. The #1 package out there today for building machine learning models is TensorFlow. That is externalized artificial intelligence from Google. It's the #1 package on GitHub today. Where we think we can be really, really unique in this space is how do we infuse it in the products that you're already using as an enterprise customer if you use G Suite. And what we think is how do we help you uncover big ideas? So take all the data that you've put in G Suite and help you find interesting correlations around it. How do we make teams more effective? So how do we adapt things in the calendar to say that, oh, based upon this meeting and this location, we know it's going to take you 15 minutes. So let's block off that time so a recruiter doesn't try to sneak in there and book some time for you to do an interview for somebody. We think we can absolutely do that. And recovering lost time, this is all about, to me, the search thing, right? Like going in, how many times okay, I gotta go do a SharePoint search, I'm gonna search my intranet. We wanna break down those barriers and give you that Google search bar for your enterprise, where I can go in and just start to ask questions, and it's doing that auto-suggesting, and hopefully in those first 3 links is exactly the type of data I'm looking for. And this is where we think we could be really unique for enterprise customers. So what we've done, if you use Google Drive today, the first iteration that we added was something called Quick Access. I use this, and it's very, very fascinating. So if you're an enterprise customer, it uses many different vectors to actually try to figure out what are you going to be searching for in your Google Drive. So typically when you're flipping open the Google Drive app, you're going there because you're looking for a specific piece of content. Drive Quick Access, what it does is it looks at your calendar. Are you meeting with a customer? What is that customer's name? And is there a presentation related to that? Are you meeting with your manager? Maybe you want to go to your one-on-one doc. So what we're doing is surfacing that content. So again, that concept of first 3 links, how do we surface those first 3 documents and make it a quick click for the user? So you're not sitting on your mobile device, flicking through pages and pages looking for that file, make it auto-suggest for you. And this is available for customers today. One that I personally really like, so I'm solidly mediocre at spreadsheets. I can do enough damage where I can write a bad formula that doesn't do what I want it to do at all. And what we think is this is a big opportunity for us to help innovate in the spreadsheet space. So what we found is actually sitting down with users, the #1 time waster was actually going in and building charts and graphs. How many times have you gone in there, you select your data, and then you walk through 18 dialog boxes, it spits out a chart, and it's not what you want, so you go back to the dialog boxes. how do we make that a lot easier for end users? So we've actually just developed something called Explore in Sheets. And what that actually does is it analyzes the data on the screen and auto-suggests charts. And more recently, we added in our natural language processing. So I'm gonna actually start to ask questions of my data. So just taking any spreadsheet, it can literally be any type of format, bring it into Google Sheets and instantly start to access this information. This isn't like upload, you gotta wait 60 minutes and then you can get answers out of it. This is all instantaneous because it's powered by Google's cloud. So you can instantly get insights on your data. And we're actually gonna do a quick demo of it right now. So I'm gonna flip over here. And I started my career as a network engineer, and I don't know how many times I did like network availability reports that looked exactly like this, and then you try to build an interesting graph for your CTO. But this is exactly some data that you may be working with as a customer. So this example here is just a bunch of Black Friday sales data, right? So typically what you would do at this point is you would select the data you find interesting and then start to walk through these dialog boxes. And for advanced users, we can absolutely go in here and go through and select and actually try to figure that out. Or we can go down, and again, in a very Google way, we just make it a single button that you have to press, that Explore button, and it's instantly analyzing all the data there. So this could be 30 rows, this could be 3 million rows inside of Google Sheets. As you can see, it instantly brought in an analysis of the data and even summarize some of what it actually saw in the data, right? So it can say things like, for every increase of $100 in profit, cost of good increases about $113, right? So kind of instant actionable insights. You actually get kind of like this data person working directly on your data without actually having to do anything, which is really, really cool. So you can go down here and any of these interesting graphs that you like, you can blow them up or you can just drag and drop them directly in your spreadsheet. So making it really, really easy to now generate interesting information about your data. And another quick example is this kind of natural language processing. So something here is I may want to know who was the top sales rep. Pretty. So as you can see, it actually tried to break down and understand the language that I typed in and actually spit it out for me. Sales rep, Benjamin Button. So Benjamin Button was the top sales rep that I had for Black Friday. And I could go through and ask further questions there. Again, making it really, really easy. There's many other products out there that do this, but none of them do it quite like Google does it, where you just drag your data directly into Google Sheets and then click that Explore button and you're instantly working with it. Make it really, really easy to knock down those barriers. So machine learning isn't this really difficult thing that you have to figure out as a customer. We've been really focused as a business on teams. There's something I once heard one of our executives say is, we hire executives to acquire. We hire teams to innovate, which I thought was really interesting, right? We didn't hire Sundar to go out and build the next cool thing on Android. But the teams underneath Sundar have gone out and hired a bunch of really, really smart engineers to build some really cool applications. So how do we give them the set of tools? How do we give you as a customer the set of tools to take your teams and help them move faster and innovate in new and impossible ways that we previously didn't expect? Things in drives that we've recently done. So Google Drive is now becoming more like a file share. So we're actually allowing you to start to bring over team-based content. So previously how Google Drive worked is all individual users owned content, which is really good if it was my document. But if I was working on a really cool project, you don't want me to own the document, you want the team to own the document. We previously didn't have that model. So our engineering team actually spent 2 years really thinking about team drives and not just saying like, oh, we want to recreate the HR file share. How do we make it in a very Google fashion? So we came out with team drives and was instantly enabled for all of our customers. No software for you to download and install because we deliver it all through the web browser or through our cloud. We've also seen a lot of interest from our customers around team chat. So I've been doing chat for a while. Chat was always this traditional one-to-one, and sometimes you would do group chat. And then this little player came out called Slack. and they disrupted the whole industry, and they're going crazy. They're giving away their product constantly. It's a really, really fascinating product, but what we've heard consistently out of our customers is I don't want to buy another product. I want to build directly into your solution. So we've actually, we're moving away from traditional Hangouts, which is what we offered our business customers, building something called the Hangouts chat. So everything from bot frameworks to integration into third-party applications, direct integrations across everything that we have here at Google, delivered over the web, great mobile experiences on iOS and Android. This is something we just started building 18 months ago and it's about to launch. So this is how quick we move here at Google. And it's available for EAP today, so customers can actually test it out. And it is our chance to do something very googly in the space and make it very integrated in everything else that we do. Slack does a really good job of integrations, but the problem is you have to try to map all that out, and we're trying to make it a lot easier for customers to be able to adopt that. So we're building it directly into our product. Another thing is Hangouts used to be our video conferencing. Again, our enterprise customers would often ask things. I came from selling WebEx, so I'd always hear, I want to record my meeting. That totally makes sense. I totally understand why you want to record your meeting. Hangouts doesn't support recording. I want to have a dial-in number. I'm used to that from WebEx. Yeah, the Hangouts doesn't have dial-in numbers. So we actually rebuilt the product from the ground up to be an enterprise product, like I talked about earlier. We've actually built something called Hangouts Me with all those features that customers have asked for. So having 50 participants, having recording built in, and again, all built into the cloud. I don't know how many times I've seen like some provider has like, oh, we have recording, and it actually records on the end user's desktop, which blows my mind, but like it'll actually like run your CPU to 100% while you're recording the meeting. Like just click the button and let the cloud do the rest of it. And that's exactly what we're doing here at Google. And we also happen to be really good at recording and transcoding because of everything that we do on YouTube. So how do we take those innovations and embed them? That's exactly what we're doing with Hangouts Meet. One of my personal favorites and a product that we've actually built directly here in New York City is something called the Jamboard. So we've done a great job of innovating everything from desktop collaboration to video conferencing, but we still have these really god-awful whiteboards that sit in all of our conference rooms. We even have them here at Google. And the experience is that then I have to walk away and like take a picture of that, or right, you have to somehow deal with how do I now manage this content? So what we've actually done is built a digital whiteboard. There's other providers out there doing this right now. Microsoft has something called the Surface Hub. I'm proud to say that you could purchase a Jamboard today for $5,000 list price. I believe the Surface Hub at its most expensive is like $35,000. So I don't know how you're gonna put that in every single conference room, but that is their pricing methodology. This is the most expensive piece of enterprise hardware that we sell our customers today. $5,000. This is what Google is all about. We've actually manufactured this device and brings the digital whiteboarding experience, but then all the other cool things that we do here at Google. So you can actually see here, you have real-time status indicators. So multiple Jamboards can work together in what's called a jam session. Again, awful branding. But you can jam out with each other. And when you jam out, you can actually see real-time people working together directly within these documents. So it's a really, really exciting advancement built directly here in New York City and just started shipping last month. And is directly integrated to everything else that you do within G Suite. So you can do video conferencing and bring content directly in. And we're gonna cross our fingers because we actually have a video. And I'm gonna hope it plays. I apologize if it gets a little broken up here.
This is Jamboard. It's like a whiteboard, except it's way better. Because it lets this team and this team work together. With this guy who lives in France.
Bonjour.
On the same thing at the same time.
C'est fou.
This is how you write. And erase. But you can also do this and add some of these. And even turn this into this. And it's got all this other stuff. So it's really easy to do this. Unless you're no Michelangelo, in which case you can do this. That's because it's part of G Suite, so you can pull in anything from any of these.
Hey guys, I had this room reserved.
And this is how you save your work.
It saves automatically.
Oh, right. It's in the cloud. This is how you pick up where you left off. This is how you share your work.
Got it.
So you never have to do this or write this. So you can do more of this. This is Jamboard, a new way to collaborate from Google.
Pretty cool little device. I remember watching us first build it here, and I remember like peeking in the conference room, and you're like, they had like this huge screen, and they actually put like a touch screen on top of it, and they had like cameras pointed out. I'm like, what are we building over there? It was actually the first iteration of the Jamboard. Like I said, it's shipping today for $5,000. Very exciting. Oh, there's my doogler again. So another thing we've often heard out of our customers is, I really love the applications you've built, but I need to be able to build applications that make sense for my business. So this comes up very often when they look at our productivity suite and they say, wow, you've got all these really interesting components. Why don't you have like a learning management suite included, right? You could stream video, you can do surveys, you could do all the pieces of an LMS, but you don't exactly have an LMS built in. So what we've actually worked on building is something called App Maker, which allows you as an end customer to develop applications directly integrated into G Suite. This allows you to build anything that you want for no additional cost, again, powered by Google's cloud. So this can be everything from learning management systems, document workflow is something that we often ran into. There was no real great way for you to develop these previously. It's all built on an open framework using JavaScript. There's no Visual Basic involved with this. So it is an open programming language, and these applications are fully exportable, so we don't want you to be locked into our application suite at all. I'm going to show you a brief demo of actually what App Maker can do. So if we go back over here, I actually have the App Maker interface already open. Now, I am a really mediocre developer, just like I am with Excel. So I'm not very good at developing applications, and we realized customers don't know where to get started. So we actually built a lot of templates for you to make it really easy to get started on the platform. So one of the ones I'm going to work with is actually a learning management system. So we have all the components here. We've already pre-built this UI for you. We can actually go in and change this and customize this for your organization as much as you want. And that's as easy as clicking the publish button. And then you can publish a new deployment. It will instantly push across our global cloud and be available for your end user securely on their mobile devices or on their web interface. If we actually click preview, we actually see what these applications look like. And we want to build really great web experiences for your users. So we take all this kind of similar UI hooks that you're used to from Google. So things like the application menu and direct integrations into everything that we do from an authentication perspective to make it really, really easy to push these out. So you can already see it's asking me to log into the application. So I'm going to log in using my training account. It's then going to ask me, do I wish to authorize this to view data within my organization? You as an administrator would actually control this, so it would never prompt your users, but we're doing a quick dry run right now. So I just choose my account. Do you wish to allow this to send email? All the things that you would need as an application. And you actually see after it does some OAuth, it'll build the UI interface, and you'll see we have a full learning management system now available for our users. And it doesn't take anything to publish this to 5 users or 500,000 users. It instantly scales on top of our cloud, so there's no additional work that you have to do as a customer. And it allows you to go in here. So all the things you would expect out of kind of a basic LMS, but you can actually build courses, assignments. You can assign those out to people. So new hires, when they come in, watch this training video, take the survey, read through all of our security documentation. We spend a lot of money on some of these software products. So how do we make it really easy for our customers to build and customize these on top of G Suite? That's exactly what we're doing with App Maker. And this is one of those things, again, built for enterprise customers, personal Gmail users. You've never heard of App Maker. You would never use App Maker. It makes no sense. Absolutely makes sense for our enterprise customers. And that's exactly what we've done with App Maker. I always like that little animation on this. The final piece I'm going to talk about is security. I brought that up earlier. It's actually been really interesting to see some of the work that we've done here at Google. So something that blew my mind when I first came here, Google internally, for all the secure stuff to do, all the top secret projects going on, all the cool phones and all that stuff we're working on, Google doesn't operate a VPN on our infrastructure. me as an end user to access my data, I never connect to a VPN. A VPN is a lie about security, right? Because it allows you to build a tunnel, get behind a firewall, and then give you all the access that you need. We decided to do this whole zero trust network thing here at Google, which means we don't trust any of our infrastructure. We don't trust any of our users unless they prove exactly who they are. So actually 2 years ago, we came out with what we call nubbies here, but it's essentially this concept of having two-factor authentication. Instead of an SMS message, we actually require our users to log in by plugging in these nubby devices. We don't manufacture these. We don't make any money off of these. They're actually made by a company called Yubico, and it's a physical form of two-factor. So our users, we often try to get hacked. Our users were actually getting phished for their SMS second factor, right? So people get that text message, they type in that number. There were hackers on the other side of the world waiting to capture that number and instantly try to log into people's accounts. This way, somebody in Russia, they could have the most advanced phishing attack out there. If they try to log in, it's going to ask them for this thing that's physically connected to me as a person, and they'll never be able to log into my account. This is something we did 2 years ago. We've offered this now for our enterprise customers as well. And we were the leaders. We're actually the first ones to offer this. It's now available for Facebook. It's available for Amazon and Amazon Web Services. It's available for GitHub. So you're starting to see other companies now starting to embrace this. But this is the unphishable form of two-factor authentication. When I talked about that presidential campaign, it was all about phishing attacks. That is the hot new craze right now, right? I'm not going to break into your firewall. I'm going to steal your password, and then I'm going to get behind your firewall, and I'm going to go crazy. So when you protect yourself with these, there's no way that somebody can be able to phish that. They would actually have to physically come over from Russia, cut this off, and then be able to have my password and the second form of authentication, which is really unique. So we make it very easy, built directly into G Suite. And like I said, it's not something unique to us. We fully made this available across the industry, and we're now starting to see providers like Okta also picking this up. And we're continually innovating in here. So I talked about some of the cool things we've worked on, everything from Jamboard to Hangouts Meet. We're continuing to innovate in the space. We're highly focused in on enterprise customers. So we want more customers with hundreds of thousands of users that have really, really stringent requirements, because that's exactly what we're focused on the G Suite team, is to build innovations using all the really great engineers that we have here at Google to help you as a business grow and move faster. AppBridge, okay, I'll quickly go through AppBridge because we'll actually do a Q&A little later on. AppBridge was an acquisition done by Google. So people love Google Drive, but the first question we always get is, I have terabytes of file servers that I want to migrate to the cloud. And we'll be like, oh yeah, you got to go use a third-party provider. They connect to your Samba shares, and then they move all your data over. AppBridge was the #1 provider there. We acquired them. So now, or we're still closing the acquisition, but eventually it'll be bundled in. So enterprise customers that want to move their file shares and kind of traditional file shares into Google will now actually have a first-party tool directly by Google that'll allow you to do that migration. So it's file migration for Google Drive. Excellent. Evan, it's all yours. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. That was a great overview of the Google Cloud. Next speaking is going to be Matthew Samuel from Protoscore. He's the director of sales over there, and he's going to put together a little bit of a demo and overview of Protoscore.
Hello, everyone. Thank you guys so much for coming out. We have a good showing, so hope you guys are enjoying what you guys have learned thus far. Mike, thank you so much for that. It was a great intro. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take over, and we're going to talk about Protoscore. So let me ask you, as a business, I know I've spoken with some of you guys out here today, but how many of you have issues with productivity of your workforce? Raise your hands. That's probably why you're here, right? Right? Okay, good. Just making sure you guys are listening. So what we want to do is here, what we're going to really focus on is what Protoscore does is we take all of the applications that you guys currently see with Google and all the other providers that you'll see here, excuse me, and what we do is we are able to take that data and we can hopefully drive more productivity for all employees. So what we're trying to solve is we can understand that companies, they spend a lot of money on the tools, obviously migrating to Google, migrating to a UC platform. What we're finding is companies out there, they want to understand adoption and validate that transformation for their company. They want to increase productivity of all individuals within that company, and they want to make sure, hopefully, they can increase their bottom line, right? So they can have more revenue. So that's what Protoscore was kind of built on. So when we talk about it, the solution, as I mentioned, what we're talking about is productivity, but what we're really doing today is we're actually focusing on how can we use the tools that are out there. So Google's machine learning, which we learned about from Mike, inherently gives the ability for the end user, either you or any company out there that's on the Google ecosystem, the ability to tap into machine learning and use that hopefully to drive productivity and efficiency within your company. And Protoscore was built with that in mind. So what we leverage is ultimately your G Suite. So all the applications that you as a G Suite user are currently using today, we tap into that and we pull all the data from your Gmail, your calendars, your docs, your drives. We also integrate with all the other business applications you use. So I'm guessing multiple companies out there have made the migration over to VoIP, right? So we've got RingCentral here tonight. So that's a good business application that we can also pull in. We connect to that API. On top of that, what we do is we connect with CRMs. So we've got SalesForce here tonight. So those are probably some good pieces of data that you're using on a day-to-day basis to gauge the productivity of your people, understand how you can forecast whether it be revenue from a sale, a sale or a revenue maybe just increasing how I can understand validating adoption of a product that I'm going to migrate to. So what we do at Protoscore is we take all of that and we pull that data through without asking your people to do anything additional to their normal job function, and we apply weights to that. And what those weights then pump into our algorithm, which is pending, and then we're able to apply a score. So as a manager, what you get is quickly and easily understand what your people do on a day-to-day basis, what technology they use. You can also drill into the content. So what we're able to do then with the help of machine learning is quickly and easily understand over time what a user might need to do in order to achieve the most productivity within their company. So by solving that, we can hopefully quickly and easily allow an IT director who might be sitting in the room here understand and validate that migration, that transformation, right? That's obviously a big fear for IT, is if I put my company through all the trials and tribulations of migrating to a new platform, is my COO going to be happy with this, right? So we can help with that. We can also help from a sales enablement. So we can understand from a recruitment, I want to hire the right people because I have quantitative and qualitative data that relies on the data of actually what your employees are doing today. On top of that, we can then use that to hopefully train them properly based on actually facts, rather than just fishing and saying, I don't know what the top players do. And hopefully what that's going to do is allow you to replicate your A players, whether that be sales, HR, accounting, and hopefully then you can use that to drive up productivity and efficiency through your company. Seems pretty novel, right? So what we've done is really the secret sauce, right? And that's what Protoscore applies. So we've taken the machine learning capabilities that is already built into those applications, and through the APIs, we pull that data through, and then we eliminate the micromanaging of a manager, an IT director, or any of the people that are relying on that data on a day-to-day basis, and allow them to quickly and easily understand what my people do and how they're trending across an organization. So, as I mentioned, these are the applications that we integrate with today. We also have a significant amount of roadmap of applications that we're constantly adding. But the goal is, in the future, to have a connection or an open API platform. So any business application that you as a customer use today, and you want to pull that analytics through, in the future, hopefully we'll be able to pull into Protoscore, and you'll be able to use that to understand productivity and hopefully run your company more efficiently. So I'm going to jump into a demo. Let me show you this. So what we see here, this is the dashboard. So obviously in the room here today, we probably have many managers, admins, people that ultimately manage a team of either accounting people, IT, sales, whatever that might be. This is going to be the dashboard that you would see. So when we talk about a company, we have the ability to go through, and what we do is we can see the date range. And we can quickly and easily, as you'll see on here, there's a score. When we talk about a score, this score is going to be organizationally based. As I mentioned earlier, we are focusing on a user, right? So this is going to be all users within the organization. So you don't have accounting, you don't have HR, you don't have sales. this might be informative to you, but really what this dashboard allows you to do is quickly and easily understand where I want to focus. So if I want to focus on probably my lower performing individuals within that organization, I can quickly see, well, Hilton needs some work, right? And I know that from a management perspective, I want to focus on that. I want to replicate my top players. I can click into that. You'll see a score. Now, these scores that you see on each individual is actually going to be specific to their user role. So obviously, when we talk about user roles, this is what we're able to do is understand, based on that user role within your specific organization, what they should be doing. And how we're doing that is when you install Protoscore with your admin rights, you pull that. What we do is we pull 90 days worth of data. Now, that 90 days allows us to understand, based on your organization and that user within the organization, what their job function should be. So with the help of machine learning, we can calculate based on their actual actions moving forward, how they're increasing or decreasing in productivity. Does that make sense?
Question.
Sure.
You're talking about the employees.
Mm-hmm.
What you're not talking about is the manager of those employees and how you find the problems with that manager and help that manager.
So if I want to click into that manager, right? So we click into that. So I clicked into Brendan. So in this demo account, so we've got that manager, right? So that manager is an employee. So we're able to understand what that employee does as well. So I can click in and I can see that Brendan's the manager and who's actually who the manager works for, right? I can even click all the way up to that. If I want to understand what their average subordinate score would be, the manager's score, and if I want to click into any of these individuals within that, that's where I get back to the employee view. So really at the end of the day, a manager is an employee, correct? Right? So what we're doing is we're able to pull the data based on any individual. We have some giggles in the room, so I'm guessing that there's, okay, a lot of questions. All right, go ahead.
Does his productivity go up because he asks the right questions?
He does, it does, it does. We'll have to get you installed on Protoscore to do so, but we'll work on that. I'll answer one more question, then I'm going to jump back into this. Okay. Okay. Sure. Sure. Right. I did not plant him, but I'm driving into that right here. Yes. Sure. Sure. So let me show this. Hopefully this answers your question. Sure. So what so let me show you what we are pulling. So I clicked on Sammy Robbins. So Sammy works for Brendan, who I showed you, right? So Brendan's the manager. So I can understand what Brendan does to manage Sammy to a point of success, right? I can click in here and I can say, well, I want to understand what that 80 is made up of. Now, this is what I'm talking about when we talk about the data we're pulling, right? So I'm able to pull through the APIs, through the different applications that we integrate with, all of the data. Now I can click in and say, I want to see those 30 emails. I can see who they sent to that email to, when they sent that email to, and the content of that email. So qualitatively and the actions, right? So there's definitely, and this is obviously, there's privacy concerns that we can stress for you. Yes.
Regarding cross-training.
Mm-hmm.
So the Protoscore is calculated based on the job description for one role.
Mm-hmm.
When we have cross-training and someone else is doing for one day,
Yeah.
a different role, is that?
These are great questions. Let me go through the demo, guys. I love this engagement. I wish I could talk for hours. Unfortunately, we have limited time. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go through the demo. Hopefully, it'll answer most of your questions. And then we will have Q&A at the end. And obviously, we can always table. I know you have my contact information. So let me show you this. So when we talk about this, what this allows me to do as a manager of SAMI or an admin, this is obviously only the managers and admins have ability to see this data. I can understand how they spend their time. I can click into that at any point in time. I can then go across and say, I want to click into specific activities. Now, to answer the gentleman's question is, if I'm going to be constantly trying to game this system, and I can just go text and I can do all these other things, and I'm just trying to do productivity just to increase my Protoscore by maybe putting fictitious calls in, I can make fictitious emails, I can put fictitious items into my calendar. This is where Protoscore and the machine learning capabilities come into play. If you notice that there's some items that have been whited out. Now, the reason being is I can click in as a manager and say, you know what, this actually doesn't really affect the productivity of this worker. I can click into that and remove that. Now you see there's already items that have been whited out. So those aren't affecting their Protoscore. So there is definitely the ability to check somebody's productivity. And what we're able to do then is also through the machine learning, so over time it will understand what's productivity enhancing versus what's not. Now, obviously, we clicked into the Gmails. We can click into any of these specific things. Now, obviously, we talk about integrating with your phone system. I'm sure today you have a VoIP phone system, and depending on your user role, it's very important that they make a certain amount of dials, right, to hit whatever that quota attainment is or accomplish whatever that might be, whether it be customer care, relations, things like that. We pull all that data through as well. If it's integrated with their CRM, like SalesForce, we can pull that actual contact through as well. So if you really think that person's not being productive, like this gentleman just requested, you can actually see the content if you want to dig into it. You can see if they're dialing that girlfriend continually or if they're making dials to certain individuals. The ability for you as a manager is to quickly and easily understand how the people are using the technology, and hopefully you can use that to change how you onboard them, train them, as well as retain them. So it's a full operational thing. We talk about settings. I'm just going to drill into that real quick for you. It's quick and easy. So we're not asking from a user role for them to do anything different than what they normally do. All you have to do is have your super admin rights. This will populate and will give you all the different Google users. You can then choose the different category to answer your question, right? So you just choose their user role, and we have the ability to do custom user roles if required. And I know I've talked to a couple people in the room. We can definitely do that for you guys. Manager visibility, obviously if it's a contractor, I don't really care if they do their job or not or how they do it, just as long as it gets completed. You can choose that. Time setting's pretty self-explanatory. You just set all this up. Out of the 5,000 users that we have, the majority of them have been self-installs, but we do have a full customer onboarding process to make sure your data is accurate and make sure you understand how to use this tool, but very user-friendly. And with this, you just go through and choose your integrations. And when we talk about integrations, we integrate with many different products out there, but we have our conference calls, your phone systems. As we mentioned, we've got RingCentral here tonight. We also do connect with BroadSoft, but we do have our CRMs. We've got 3 different CRMs, and we're working on exclusive content with SalesForce specifically, and we're very excited about highlighting them tonight. So let me tell you, as a sales director for my organization, this is helpful, but at the end of the day, it's still productivity only if I can train them accurately, right? So what we've done at Protoscore is we've taken that data and we've taken it to the next level. So when we talk about this is our correlations platform. So when we talk about correlations is we take all of the applications that we're pulling through, and with the natural language protocol, we're able to pull out certain words or statements or things to understand what's trending across that organization. Let's just call it for the hashtag for your business. So when we talk about that, what we can see here is the same date ranges. I can see the content or the topics when they're mentioned within an organization. And then below that, I have the ability to see who's talking about that specific product. And to the right, I can see how they're talking about that product. I can go down and drill into that if I really want to. But the key for us from an organization is, let's just say I want to sell purple ice cream. I want to sell purple ice cream, and that's my big initiative for an organization. Or as customer care, I want to focus on specific initiative or focusing on that. I can understand if my people are talking about that, how they're talking about it, when they're talking about it, And in addition, we can show them who they're talking about it with. So these are contexts outside the domain. When I talk about contexts outside the domain, these are most likely customers or prospects. You can click into any of these individuals and have the ability to see who's talking with them, how they're talking with them, and hopefully, if I look into any of that content, I can see, well, this might be a sales-related issue, it might be a customer care-related issue, it could be anything, right? But as a manager, this allows me to know if that's trending across my organization. I can then change the behaviors and then hopefully increase the metrics for that. And this is really not just a sales-focused tool, but it can be used in any aspects to understand what's trending across your organization. I know I'll let you do one question, but I do have some time constraints, so go ahead. I'm sorry? So what we do with this, and at the end, we're gonna have our product team come up here. Our director of product is Harpreet in the back. You have to imagine that all the data that we're pulling here is based on specific topics that your individuals are actually mentioning. So we're not pulling any data outside of your existing company. Yeah. I'm not understanding exactly what you're looking for, but we can probably table that. So
DLP functionality, which can be addressed with Google.
yeah, we can address. I mean, obviously on that, it's whatever platform you're pulling the data from, it would be those same standards. So that's really my demo. I'm just going to kind of jump back real quick into my slides. I just wanted to highlight quickly some use cases, because obviously at the end of the day, it comes down to how these applications actually being used to increase productivity. That's the big question, right? So we have an organization called Grow Group. They are an organization that has been a Salesforce user for many, many years. They are a diverse company. They have employees dispersed throughout the US, throughout EMEA, as well as I believe in Asia Pac. But anyway, one of their major issues was adoption, and that adoption was for Salesforce. Obviously a very productive tool when used properly. The key is used, right? So many companies have issues with adoption. The goal for them was they came on to Protoscore and they were looking for us to increase adoption of that, but also increase productivity. They saw an increase in over 25% of Salesforce just by Protoscore. One, because their people knew that they would be increasing their Protoscore and there was a gamification piece to it. And two, hopefully the managers were able to then teach them how they should use those tools more properly. And then the last one I would say, we've seen an increase in employee productivity based on the ability for companies to understand how their employees use their tools, but also on top of that, changing the training and the quality of that. And we've seen with this specific company, Cloud Codes, an increase of 20%, just lead generation, which has driven more revenue for the company. So that's Protoscore, and I just want to thank you guys all for your time. We will have Q&A at the end, so look forward to that.
Thanks, Matt. I think you sparked a lot of questions, and we'll address all those questions in our Q&A session. So thank you very much. Next on tap is Tony Roselli from RingCentral, one of the premier VoIP products out there in the market. And he's going to tell us a little bit about some of the integrations with Google, with Protoscore, and with Salesforce.
Thank you, Bevan. All right. Good evening. Thanks, everyone, for spending time with us tonight. Again, special thanks to Bevan O'Reilly and Sweetbriar, Google, and Mike back in the room. Thank you guys very much. The folks from Protoscore, Salesforce, it's an honor to be up here and spend time with you guys and talk to you all. Tonight, let me start off. My name is Tony Roselli. I'm a channel development and sales manager for RingCentral. I'm focused on Google partners in this region. So I support Bevan and his team at Sweetbriar. And I'm based out of Chicago and been doing this for a number of years. And before we get into what RingCentral is and what we do. The real focus of tonight's and my piece of the presentation is going to be around unified communications, and specifically unified communications as a service. So I'm going to draw a couple of analogies, but let me ask you guys in the room, how many of us are runners in the room, whether competitive running, recreational running? Okay, excellent. So I see some hands going up, right? So as I try to draw an analogy here, think about it this way, right? We love to run for various reasons. I enjoy doing 5Ks, but when I run, right, we put some thought behind the run, right? Because we want to have the best user experience when we go out. We obviously don't want to be injured when we go out to train. So we start with a foundation, right? And we start with shoes, right? So Asics Gel Cumulus 18. Those are my favorites. I love running in those. I get the best heel toe strike from that. I have the agility that I'm looking for. It's the foundation for me to really start having a great user experience with my run. So when you start to look at that, you can kind of translate and build an analogy to unified communications, because today it's all about the user experience. It's all about the seamless integration. And that's where RingCentral comes into the picture, because when you bring in and you start to have these discussions in your own organizations around unified communications and what are we going to be doing in the next 12 to 18 months with our phone system and with collaboration, you really need to have a solid foundation from where to start those conversations and where to start the implementation. RingCentral plays very, very prominently in all those discussions today. Let me give you a little bit of background on RingCentral. We've been around for 10 plus years. We have over 350,000 business customers. So let me repeat that. We have over 350,000 business customers, not lines, customers. We have spent many years focused in the SMB space, but over the last 3 years, we've been swimming upstream. So we work with, the SMB space, absolutely. And we also work with large enterprise. Companies such as Box.com is a customer of ours. Content Storage, you may have heard of them. Hyatt Hotels, customer of ours. So we've done very, very well over the last couple of years at really going upstream and capturing that large scale enterprise. Today, we are a publicly traded company on the New York Stock Exchange. We are in 80 countries globally. The slide's a little off. It shows 30, but we are actually in 80 countries today. We have 2,100 employees. 67% of us are client facing. And that's actually quite the opposite of a traditional sales company, where it's the other way around, where you have 2/3 working in the back office and doing admin, where there's only 1/3 going out and servicing customers. So we're very, very customer focused. We are a Gartner Magic Quadrant leader. How many of us are familiar with Gartner at all? Okay, I see a lot of hands in the room. Good deal. So I'll wait on that. And then when you take a look at our R&D spend, actually trumps all of our competitors combined. So we're spending $55 million a year on R&D to bring you the features and the functionality that you're looking for. So from a Gartner perspective, we are a Gartner Magic, we are a Magic Quadrant leader in UCaaS, in the UCaaS space, in 2015 and 2016. Results should be out here in the next couple of weeks for 2017. We're hoping to have that as well. That's a big deal, right? I mean, there's a lot of focus around the evaluation criteria. How do we how do we do well in markets? How do we, what's our market responsiveness, customer experience? What's our innovation look like? What's our product scales looking like? All those things come into play in order to work and to be evaluated with Gartner. So today we are the largest and fastest pure play UCaaS player in the market. So, and we're actually growing at 2 times the cloud market today. So 400 million in annual revenues, 40% year-over-year growth. I mean, the accolades go on and on. So point is that we've been around for a while. We're trusted. We have the large-scale enterprise customers, and we've been going after them for some time. So kind of getting back to our discussion around unified communications and what we need to be looking for in a platform today. Today, you know, when you're out there talking about this within your own teams, I look at this as two different buckets. There's the bucket of table stakes, right? Where everything, you know, things like, in my mind, table stakes are voice, messaging, fax. Everybody today provides those types of capabilities. How do you start to differentiate yourself and what you're looking for in your organization with a UC player? Couple things come to mind. Collaboration, right? Today, how many times have you had the conversation around voice and UC without talking about collaboration? It doesn't happen anymore, right? Today, you talk about voice, the natural evolution in that same conversation goes around, well, hey, what are we going to do with collaboration? How do I start, how do I start going ahead and bridging in France and Manila and being able to do, screen sharing and on the spot, editing, all those things come into play from a collaboration standpoint. And then additionally, going back to the analogy of the runner and having the right foundation, the other thing you have to look at is the integrations, right? And if you're going to be implementing a unified communications solutions, what type of integration does that company offer you to be able to start tying in that solution into other aspects of your business? ServiceNow, SalesForce, Protoscore, right? We have 100 integrations today that are out of the box, ready to go, no need to develop, and they're available to customers. So it's those type of things that really draw RingCentral to the forefront of your conversations. When you take a look at the platform, as you can see on the slides, what we offer today: voice, table stakes; SMS, business texting; SMS and MMS, we offer that; faxing, table stakes; audio conferencing, table stakes; video conferencing, screen sharing, contact center. If you do have some sort of contact center or support teams, right? I don't like to use the word contact center because a lot of customers will shy away, because the philosophy around contact center is, well, there's 100 agents sitting in a room, everybody's answering a phone. I don't have that. I just have a support desk with 10 agents that are answering calls, right, in an ACD group. We provide that capability. Messaging, team collaboration, and we do it all from a single platform. And we do it all on our network. And that's a huge differentiator when you start evaluating unified communication solutions and who really is the dominant players, who are the dominant players in the marketplace. So, Google, how do we wrap into Google? Well, today we are in fact we are in fact integrated with GSuite. In fact, we are a GSuite customer. We are actually, RingCentral is actually a Google recommended app. Okay. If anyone knows that the Google recommended apps, there's only 13 of them in that category. That's a big deal, right? And there is only one pure play UCaaS player in there, and that's RingCentral. So today, I mean, we're very, very proud of that. We are a Google app player, and I wanted to throw this up. This is kind of a screenshot of what this would actually look like in terms of GSuite integration. So you actually have a dialer here. You actually are connected to Gmail. You have the ability to click to call. You can listen to voicemails all through your Gmail account. You have the ability to do sorting. And all those good things that come with the product. Specifically, let's dive into the integration, right? We integrate with Chrome today, right? With soft phone and meetings. We integrate with Gmail. I just talked through that with Chrome app. Calendar, today you do have the ability to do scheduling, and you can actually utilize Hangouts. So we integrate with Hangouts. Docs, if you want to do any type of faxing from Docs, you can do that. We integrate with Drive, Google Drive, being able to import files and export files, and single sign-on with Google Credentials. So what makes us great at doing this? We API better than anybody else in this space, period, hands down. You want to bring anyone else to the table, feel free, but it's going to be very, very difficult to find someone who has this level of integration like we have that's in this space and a dominant player. So a little bit about Hangouts. Really quick for those guys for the fans who do use Hangouts, I wanted to highlight this. It's a little difficult to see, but you do have your Hangouts icon here. You do have the ability to start a conference right with Hangouts. This is available today for customers. This is the actual screenshot. So you actually do get a dial-in number. You can actually escalate that Hangout into a video conference if you like. So you have those capabilities today. So for those Hangout fans, I'm a big fan of it and use it all the time. SalesForce. SalesForce folks are in the room, and Protoscore is also in the room as well. But we do integrate with SalesForce. We do integrate with Protoscore. Let's quickly talk through that. This is an actual screenshot. So this is actually my screenshot. That's how long I put the deck together. It's been a while. So this is my screenshot, but you can see my dialer is in place already, right? And I'm tied into Salesforce. I do have the ability. So there's the integrated dialer. We do have Windows and Mac support today. We have screen pops, analytics for you, and we integrate with either Salesforce Classic or the Lightning user interface. Some other key features, you do have the ability to do screen pops, instant call logging, analytics, and we integrate with the mobile app, which is also equally important because a lot of our employees are in fact road warriors today. All right, so to wrap up, and I encourage you guys, I know that we have a limited amount of time, but we do have more time for the Q&A, and feel free to see me afterwards. I'll be in the back mingling and hanging out. If you have questions around UC and RingCentral, feel free to stop me. I also have a colleague in the back. Oh, there he is, Vance Bass. So feel free to stop either one of us if you have questions. But let me just leave you with this. Why RingCentral versus anyone else? I've been through this enough. I've been around in the telecom industry for more years than I care to admit to. But two things stand out to me when I start looking at these UC solutions. First thing you got to ask yourself, what is that company doing from a collaboration perspective? Today, we offer a complete, comprehensive collaboration suite for you. We use Glip. That's our product. If you're familiar with Slack, if you're familiar with Skype for Business, they're along the same lines, but those products are fractionalized as opposed to having a real, true, holistic, complete collaboration solution from a single pane of glass. That's where this is all going. And I'll be more than happy to explain it to you in our Q&A. But at the end of the day, collaboration, you want to be able to do it seamlessly, and you want to be able to take those actions from a single pane of glass. And we do that today. So that's the first thing that I would tell you, your groups and your study groups to look at. What are you guys doing from a collaboration standpoint? And then what is that UC company doing from an integrations perspective? Today, we offer 100 out-of-the-box integrations. Protoscore is in there. ServiceNow is in there. Salesforce is in there. All those capabilities, a lot of the household names. And that really helps you as you build your foundation, as you lay your foundation. You now have the ability to start bringing in other pieces of your business and tying that into your UC solution. And then obviously coupled with the experience of telecom experts and cloud experts through SweetBriar, as well as with Google, and then through proven methodologies. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Bevan. I appreciate the time. Please don't hesitate to stop me. I'll be here. I'm hanging out all night. I got nowhere to go. So, thank you very much.
Thanks, Tony. We are running a little short on time, so I appreciate everybody's patience here. But we definitely want to get our next speaker up here from Salesforce, Ian Cundiff. He's going to go back into some of the integrations that work really well with Google. Here you go, Ian.
Awesome, thanks. So I did have a 3-hour-long demo planned, but I think I'm going to have to cut that. Might just do some stand-up instead for you guys now that I have a microphone in my hand. All right. So on the topic of Salesforce and GSuite and integrations and all that good stuff. So I'm a solution engineer on the Salesforce inbox team. And basically my day-to-day is all about email integration, calendar integration, all that good stuff, and everything that Salesforce has to offer there. So just to dive right into it, Inbox is really a tool to help you connect, your CRM, Salesforce, to your email server. Whether that's G Suite, I know I shouldn't talk about Exchange in here. We have some Exchange stuff too, in case you're on there. We are internally a Gmail user, so that's where a lot of our stuff really starts to get developed, and it really comes out of a lot of internal feedback and things like that. So that's where a lot of our features, a few of which I'm going to talk about in a little bit, have come from internal teams that have actually asked us for certain functionality, obviously, as well as feedback that we get from our customers as well. So who here is currently using Salesforce or has used Salesforce in the past? Okay. All right. I won't go too deep into what Salesforce is then. If I was in San Francisco and I tried to explain what it was, I'd get hit with a ton of rotten vegetables and whatnot, and probably get some comments about the new tower there too. All right. So this is just kind of, sales targeted. Today's selling experience, super disconnected, but really anything where you're interacting with customers and you have a lot of different disparate data sources that you're trying to pull into one spot. An average of 15 different ones required, in an average sales cycle to close a deal. And I mean, that's where a lot of our business is. So things like, social media, you just have your email, you have files stored all over the place, and you're constantly switching between apps, between different programs, and trying to pull in all the data that you need into one spot. There's also been historically a not so great mobile experience with all this stuff too. And as somebody who lives in Manhattan and likes to walk around and take calls and figure out what's going on my phone, it's really hard to get everything in one spot. And I'm always switching back and forth. And that can get really just crazy. So we asked ourselves at Salesforce, how do we simplify that experience? How do we make that easier on ourselves, first and foremost? You can trust it because we use it. We built it because we've seen a lot of these pains too about how do we get our data into the CRM? Because at the end of the day, a CRM is only as important, only as powerful as the data that you give to it. And at the same time, there's a lot of data that's in your CRM that you might want in your email. There's a lot of context there that you don't have in an email. You have somebody's email address, you have their name, and then maybe that's it. So we want to make sure that you have a way to get access to a lot of the CRM data in your inbox as well. So hence the product called Salesforce Inbox came along. And this came out of an acquisition of a company that was out in Palo Alto called RelateIQ. And they were just kind of stirring up some waves in the CRM space, getting some of the bigger players scared, including Salesforce. So Salesforce bought them. And Inbox was the first effort out of that team once they came into the Salesforce family. What Inbox is it's a couple of different applications. There's a Chrome app, a Chrome extension. There's stuff on the Outlook side, and then there's a mobile app. And the idea here, like I was saying, is to make sure that you get all of this important information, all this interaction that you're having with your customers synced over into Salesforce. And there are a couple of reasons for that. Not everybody has access to all that communication you've had going back and forth when it's just on your email server. Somebody can ask you, hey, will you print out that email and hand it to me so I can see what you've been talking about with this customer for the last 6 months? Or you can store that, at the opportunity level in Salesforce on a contact. You can see all that communication that's been happening there. So somebody else on your team can come right in and know exactly what's going on. And then the other side of that is getting some of this important information that you only have in your CRM in your inbox. So instead of flipping back and forth, between Salesforce and Gmail, now within Gmail, within our Chrome extension, I can just see things like, here are all the different records in Salesforce that someone's associated with, a little extra contact information, address, stuff like that I might not necessarily have in my email. And then that's not all. We actually built in a few different productivity features into Inbox as well. And the nice thing here is it's built from a mobile first perspective. So everything that you would see, in the Chrome extension, you're going to have all that, on the mobile app too as well. So a lot of this email productivity stuff, I'm going to go through a couple of the high level points there, but things around, making scheduling easier, templatizing emails, things like that, and giving you access to all that within your inbox. And then that last point, desktop and mobile. We want to have the experience the same everywhere. We want to make sure you have access to the same tools that you get really used to, whether you're on your phone or whether you're on your desktop. So the first piece here, this eliminate busy work part, this comes back to the email productivity piece. So the first thing, insert availability, that's kind of a straightforward name, but where that came from was all that time that goes into scheduling a meeting, you know, all the 8, 10, who knows how many emails back and forth with you saying, hey, I'm free, you know, Thursday at noon. And if you send that to me, first thing I'm gonna do is come back and say, what time zone are you talking about? Because I work through a lot of different places. You know, if that's in Europe, I'm like, no way, not a chance. So, you know, you go back and forth trying to figure out what time you can actually meet. So a piece that's built into Inbox is the ability to pull up your calendar and then just schedule around whatever you have at the moment, and then send someone out, you know, all those times that you're available. So it's really just a way to give someone all the times and then let them pick whatever works best for them. You know, you don't need to have all that email back and forth that goes into it, even though that might increase your Protoscore. You know, so I have this notebook here. I like to take a lot of notes as I'm going through for everybody else's presentations, so I can kind of make some callbacks to the other stuff. So that second bit, send later, again, try to name these features like pretty well to what they actually do. So send later, again, works really well for me across time zones. It lets me just queue up emails to send out when I really think they need to get to someone's inbox. So especially if I'm emailing a customer in Europe. I used to live in Chicago. We got a big Chicago contingent going on tonight. When I used to live there, you know, that's a 6-hour time difference with me in Dublin. So if I want to make sure that somebody's, make sure I get the email to someone's inbox, you know, right when they get to the office the next day. And I honestly still can't even really fully add those numbers together to figure out what time it should get there. I can schedule it with Salesforce Inbox and say, hey, I want it to get there at 8:30 a.m. in Dublin time. And then I'm hands off. I don't have to convert. I have to figure that stuff out. And the email is going to be queued up and it's going to send out when I actually need it to get there. The third point is just around email templates. So Salesforce has had email templates for a while with HTML, merge fields, all that good stuff that you would want in an email template. But historically, you know, you have to be inside of Salesforce to use those. And a lot of people really, they work out of their inbox all the time. So what we wanted to do was give people a way to access those templates, pull those in, you know, figure out, all right, what contact am I sending this to? You know, pull in all those merge fields, all that good stuff that your template might have. Maybe you've got headers, all that stuff. That's all supported within Inbox. You pull in that template, you send it out, and it's coming from you. You know, it's not coming from like Salesforce or some kind of email sending program. It's actually coming from you. So that's a nice benefit there. The other side of this is just making sure you have access to all these tools no matter where you're going. So our app is actually a full mobile email and calendar client. And what I like to tell people when I first introduce it to them is you could just never use any of the Salesforce features on it. You can just use it as an email client and a calendar client, and it does everything you would ever want it to do. But the reason that you're looking at something like this is because you want that Salesforce integration layer in your inbox. You want to see, all right, what relevant records is this person that I'm emailing related to? Let me get some extra info on them. Let me try to pull in some social media links, things like that. And let me make sure that I'm syncing this communication back to my CRM so it's reportable later. So yeah, desktop clients as well, all that same stuff you have on the mobile. And then kind of to relate this back to G Suite, the mobile app aggregates a lot of different data sources where you might potentially have attachments. So things like Google Drive or Dropbox, whatever you're using, you're able to pull in attachments directly from there. And you know, if you've used a mobile email client a lot and you're trying to use it for business, you know it's pretty difficult to get the right files attached there. You know, you have to save them down, figure out where they are in like your phone file system, get them attached to the email. So try to put that all together, all in front of you all at once. You'll see the Gmail logo. There's an Outlook plugin as well. There's an app for iOS and there's an app for Android. And all this functionality is shared across the board because the team that's working on it is really committed to making sure that everybody gets the same experience no matter what platform they're on. So everything up to this point, it's all been around email integration, and this is too, but that's been more hands-on. So, you know, in Salesforce's own push toward AI, something called Einstein Activity Capture has come out of this need to, you know, if you want to have an AI platform, you know, within your CRM, it needs to have good data just as much as your CRM does to be useful. So you have all those models out there, you want to make sure that they're trained well. So at Salesforce, we built something called Einstein Activity Capture, part of this larger Einstein AI platform that allows you to capture all of the incoming and outgoing email that you might have, all of your calendar events, do that automatically, and then automatically associate that data to the right records within Salesforce. So no more manual logging, no more pop-ups that say, hey, where do you want to relate this email? This allows you to just say, all right, I'm just going to send this email off. Salesforce knows who I'm emailing, and they're going to attach this email to that right contact record. You're able to decide, whether you want the body of that shared or not within Salesforce, just because we know not every last bit of email is going to be business relevant. And it's also not all going to be, sensitive enough that you're willing to share with the whole company. Maybe you're emailing legal about a trouble employee, something like that. We want to make sure that you have the ability to restrict the visibility of activities like that. And then the last piece really is just, this is designed to help you have better AI-ready data in Salesforce. So even if you're not using the Einstein platform as a whole right now, later on, if you decide that you want to pull in some AI-based insights into your CRM, you're going to have data that's going to help back those. So just a couple quick stats. With Inbox, we've seen a lot of increased, really I want to start at the right immediately and just say CRM adoption, because a lot of the calls that I get on related to this product, people, they were sold on Sales Cloud. They were like, this is great. They get an implementation partner. 6 months later, they still only have 15 people out of their 1,000-person sales organization actually using Salesforce. And I think a lot of that is because a lot of people are just really used to working in their email inbox. I mean, that's where so much happens, or they're just used to working in their normal phone email client. So really getting Salesforce in front of them at all times, when they're in their inbox, you just have some quick hits over on the side, some highlights, how does this stuff relate back to my CRM? You click on it, and inadvertently, you're going into that CRM system that you weren't super excited about adopting in the first place. So that's just, I like using it, but obviously internally at Salesforce, our rollout's so big and everything, you come in and it's like, yeah, you don't want to use CRM, you can just go now. So all this really comes back to an average of 2.89 more hours for selling every week. Like I said, this is kind of B2B focused numbers here, but that's what you get, and you can extrapolate that. You can do some multiplication. You can figure out how many extra sales reps that would account to over the course of a year. I'll let you do that math if you want to. But my last thing here really is just a good customer story. Vapotherm, they're up in Canada, and they're pretty early adopters for Inbox. They loved everything there, and they were one of our key drivers for that automatic data capture piece, that Einstein activity capture. Just because at the end of the day, they were moving so much volume, they were doing so much email, and calendar, and all that stuff, that they didn't have time to manually log all of that. So they really wanted an automated solution that would help them get all of that in. No, 2-hour-long meeting every Friday where everybody logs all their activity during the week. They want to get it in as they go or when they're on the road. So eliminating that manual data entry, cutting down on some of that administrative work of logging things, and then also just giving extra visibility into all that communication that's been happening, both for fellow salespeople as well as managers, just to see what's actually going on, maybe on a particular opportunity or with a particular high-value customer. So that's it. Salesforce Inbox. There's a free trial. If anybody wants to know anything more about it, you're using Salesforce right now, you're thinking, hey, how do we get all this data, this valuable data that's in our email captured within our CRM? Come talk to me after. I can answer all of your questions, or I can engage someone from the product team if I don't know them. So that's it for Salesforce. Evan?
Thanks, Ian. So just a little piece of housekeeping, actually. In front of everybody, they should have a questionnaire. And with that questionnaire, if you guys are able to fill that out, we'll have a raffle afterwards for a Google Home and also a Google Chromebook as well. So whenever you guys get the chance, feel free to fill those out. So SweetBriar, I guess just a little bit about myself. I've been in the Google Cloud ecosystem now going on 8 years. And actually most of our management team as well has been kind of in this inception of the Google Cloud. And we've actually grown and scaled pretty much like those Google data centers have. So we actually are a Google Cloud Premier Partner. And actually last year we were awarded top new business partner as well. We're a little bit unique in the sense that we have very much a distributed workforce. We have remote employees across North America, And the reason that we wanted to do this is we didn't want geography to be the deciding factor on finding the best talent out there. Also, our clients are all across North America. So we wanted to have employees next to our clients to be able to check in, make sure everything's going well. So we have offices in New Jersey, California, Pennsylvania, Texas, Colorado, Maine, and our headquarters is based in Virginia. Our real bread and butter is helping companies like yourself evaluate different cloud solutions. So all the solutions that we spoke about today, we can help you evaluate those solutions. And if we decide that it's a good fit, we can help deploy them, provide migration services, change management and training, as well as ongoing support. Really what we pride ourselves on is being flexible with our clients. And something that we really excel at is change management and training. I think the thing that we come across most is that resistance to change. So we really sit down with your teams and really understand your workflows and some of those challenges that might be presented. As we know, not one shoe is going to fit all people. So we always come up with a customized plan to help with that transition. So in doing this, several years now, a lot of our clients have come to us and asked us to integrate different systems that they currently have. And we've been able to do that, pretty much seamlessly for a lot of our clients. But today we wanted to present what we feel are the best in class integrations. Our clients range from all different industries. So in the technology field, Glassdoor is a client. We actually migrated them for email first, and now we're actually migrating all their file servers into Drive. Pandora Media that provides all the music for you guys. They actually started off doing Drive and now are moving to email. So we can always pick and choose, what is going to be the best fit and the immediate need to be satisfied, and kind of do different phases for rolling out different approaches. Pandora was also interesting in the sense that they, Chromebox for meetings, they actually put these in all their conference rooms so they can have easy access, for conference calls. In the real estate industry, Berkshire Hathaway is a client of ours. Also, Tarbell Realty, which is actually the largest real estate firm in Southern California. And they rolled out G Suite pretty seamlessly. But one of the things that they had was a unique use case in using Hangouts. How they wanted to use Hangouts was for open houses and just showings, because everybody's remote and doesn't always have the time to actually go see the house. So they started using Hangouts with their sales reps. In food manufacturing, which is kind of a unique category. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Amy's Kitchen, but they provide all those organic frozen burritos in the supermarket. And we actually help them with the full rollout of G Suite for Mail and Drive. Another client in the food manufacturing is West Liberty Foods. And these guys are actually kind of unique in the sense that they provide all the turkey meat for Subway sandwiches and all the turkey for Costco. And after their rollout, we actually really dove into their business process improvement. So we started interviewing all their different departments and tried to understand their workflows, tried to help them, with productivity. And one of the things that arose from that was a use case around their databases. So they had all these databases collecting information like cook time, temperature in the ovens, and their whole goal is to increase the yield of that turkey production. So we're going to be able to host all that data in Google Cloud Platform so they can have access to that data in real time to make those decisions. And some of, I know a lot of you speaking with you today are in some regulatory industries. So law firms, Perkins Coie is a client. We actually did some development for them in creating a specific migration tool, migrating from personal accounts to the enterprise version. And there was a lot of security features that needed to be made. So that's why we made a custom tool. Also in healthcare, Hamilton Hospital, that's based in Texas, Trivium Healthcare. We actually help them roll out G Suite for all their HIPAA compliance needs. And for all you guys in finance, we do have some financial clients, First Commerce Bank, Motley Fool, and Cash Call. Cash Call was a full rollout of G Suite, but they took it one step further and actually started leveraging Chromebooks throughout their organization. They were tired of the maintenance around the PCs. So their whole outbound team is leveraging Chromebooks, and they actually leverage RingCentral as well to make those outbound calls. So as I mentioned, all those services that we spoke about today, we actually use on a daily basis. As a growing company, we had some scalability issues as we started to grow. And we knew that there was two factors that were very important to help us scale. One of that is accountability, and second was productivity. So how did we address the accountability? As you all know, salespeople sometimes like to tell stories, right? So when you're actually doing these pipeline calls, you can actually imagine some of the stories that you actually hear. So we installed Protoscore to be able to monitor all the emails that go out on a daily basis. What's their volume there? Also, the phone calls made out through RingCentral. We're able to see, how many phone calls they're making. But more importantly is when we have a promotion, or if we have a certain product that we're pushing, we're able to analyze and see if these guys are actually, promoting that product that we're, trying to sell that quarter or that month. And then going into the productivity side of things, my philosophy around this is taking those mundane tasks and automating those. So connecting the SalesForce connector, connecting the RingCentral connector. Now all those calls, those emails are automatically logged into our CRM, which puts good quality data into our CRM, but also helps some of our salespeople not get carpal tunnel, and maybe even saves them a little bit of sanity. So these are just, one of, hundreds of different use cases. And really what I would like to do is understand your guys' use cases, see if there's a good fit, and then help you with your evaluation and see with any of these products that were mentioned today. So I appreciate everybody's time. I know that we ran a little bit long, but I'd love to bring up all the rest of the presenters so we can have a little bit of Q&A. Got the big crew up here now.
Heavy hitters.
So I know previously there was a lot of questions around, some Protoscore. Is there any questions?
Yes. Not currently, but it's in beta. So we will be working with the Android. Just do their API is very easier than iOS, but we will have that coming out very shortly.
And just to tap onto that, with G Suite, you're able to provide mobile device management with the suite itself.
One of the things with SalesForce, we have people who go out and visit clients, and getting people who spend a lot of time on the road to make records of things. Do you have anything when someone's at a client to automatically their phone says I'm at this location? Make a record in SalesForce for that I'm here.
Nothing location aware right now. I'm going to immediately tell the product team about that because I like it. I think really being with the Inbox mobile app, at least, or with Salesforce One, just having that mobile app and using that a lot. If you're on site, your chances are you're probably already going to be in it. And so there are then ways to log things as you're there, but no, there's not something that would let you know proactively. It's a good point though.
Yeah, no, I'm just, I got clients, all my clients are in the Salesforce database, and I've got a trainer or a salesperson in there.
Okay.
Just automatically recording that, or coming up with, I've got 5 clients in this building, which one is it? in terms of activity measuring and productivity measuring and tying them all together. It's a huge amount of savings because people go back to the office and they'll spend hours entering this information.
Yeah, for sure.
Question? Yes.
I have a question about the e-box SalesForce. Is that including the license or is it a separate license?
So it's a separate license. Well, I can just give you, it's 25 per user per month is like, that's the list price on it. So and you may be aware of some of Salesforce's like free offerings around email integration, and they exist too. The biggest difference really is with the mobile app on Inbox, and then some of the AI features too.
I'm in a shop that does a lot of exchange. I think we've all heard of that product too. In terms of trying to get an organization, like I'm in a sales organization, and I can see some value in this. What would it mean to try and take the sales organization and move them to a different email system without changing the other 35,000 people in the way they work?
Yes, that is something that we've actually done in the past. So we could set up kind of a split delivery situation, have all your sales team on GSuite, and then having Protoscore, RingCentral, and all the other things incorporated just for the sales team.
Sweet. Right. Other questions? Good to go. Everything answered. At Google, as always.
There you go.
Just Google it quickly.
Well, enjoy. Feel free to have a couple more beers, and thank you so much.
Drink them while they're here.
Thank you.
Thanks.